Welcome to our Saturday Simulcast, joined by Tom Dienhart, still in the press box at Notre Dame Stadium, and also Brian Neubert. And after Purdue's 27-13 loss to Notre Dame up in South Bend, I want to thank our sponsor, the Union Club Hotel, and for sponsoring Saturday Simulcast and all that they do for us. And also remind you that you can become a subscriber to GoldandBlack.com. We have free trials almost on every story. We post a link there, so please consider that as well. All right, Tom, 27-13 loss, a competitive game. I know that coaches don't want to talk about that necessarily, but any reaction. I'll first ask you any reaction in postgame. Obviously, David Bell, there's been a tweet about him at least up and walking around. That was a scary situation. But what was your reaction, or what did you, when talking to the players and coaches, what was the vibe after the game?
Yeah, we asked Jackson Anthrop his thoughts, and obviously he said very scary. Not only is David Bell one of his best friends, but that's one of your teammates, and I think every football player knows the possibility of something like that could always happen to anybody. And I think it reminds you of your vulnerability. And I don't think most human beings don't like to be reminded how vulnerable they are, especially football players. So reality strikes you pretty hard in the face when you see a player prone on the field for that duration and just going off on a cart like that. But again, he got up on his own. He was sitting up on the cart. And we were told in the post game that David was up and walking. And then, of course, Purdue also sent out a tweet that basically said the same thing as well. So from that point of view, I guess things seem positive. Now, Jeff Brom didn't advance the story at all as far as Bell's condition goes, his long-term prognosis. Bottom line is stay tuned, right? We'll find out more about David Bell, I'm sure, in coming days, but everybody wants him to do better, just a great person, better person than he is a football player, it seems like, and that's saying a lot. Just tough guys. First, Sander Horvath, then Corey Trice, who Jeff Brom said after the game is going to be out a while. He didn't put exact time or a number of weeks on it, but again, Horvath, Trice, and now maybe David Bell. And the injury bug is already hitting this team hard. They're only 3 games in, so just tough to see that today. But overall, guys, there were some things to build on here. I think you would agree, wouldn't you? The performance of the defense today was pretty gosh darn good.
Yeah, Purdue outgained Notre Dame, kept the game in front of them. They just didn't make enough plays at the right time, it seemed to me. Brian, what's your view? Is this and credit to David Bell, he's the only – I don't know if he's the only guy in America, but he catches the ball too, hangs onto it in that play. And the one catch he made, of course, by the goal line, one of the great circus catches you're going to see. Not quite as good maybe as that 2019 catch against Indiana, but wow, he's just amazing to watch. But Brian, your evaluation, was this a step forward today, a step sideways? Does Purdue have something to build on after this 2-touchdown loss to the Fighting Irish?
I think you take that categorically. I think, for the defense, I think it was a step forward. I think, obviously 27 points is a big number, and Notre Dame easily could have put up more than that because they dropped a bunch of touchdowns. But I think the defense did enough here to give you a chance. And I think they made big plays. I think at the start of the game, that was a great first quarter they played. They just needed help from their offense. The offense just had to reward the defense with points. I think the special teams took probably a bit of a step backwards here. You've got punter questions again all of a sudden, a most unwelcome sight. You made a couple mistakes there. TJ Sheffield fielding the punt inside the 5. Yeah. The kickoff straight out of bounds. Things like not straight out of bounds, but out of bounds. Yeah. They needed to be better there. But I think what this boils down to is just I think the offense took it's hard to say a step backwards because the level of competition moved up so considerably from those first 2 games, but they just had to be better than that. I think they started the game 3 or 4 on third down and finished like 4 of 16. They'd been so good in those third and shorts, and obviously I think Sander Horvath's absence had something to do with that, probably affected their play calling a little bit to a certain extent. but they just couldn't get anything going. And you just expected better at this point. The quarterback had been playing really well. Purdue had just been very efficient offensively. Just couldn't do a whole lot of anything. And in that first half, that was sort of it felt like this was trending toward being one of those close blowouts where, you're only down 7 points or whatever it is, but you don't even know if you can score enough for it to matter at the end. And then Purdue comes out in the second half and they look pretty good, on that first drive. You thought maybe that they turned the corner a little bit. They didn't turn the corner a little bit. They just got to be better offensively. Purdue's got to outscore people. I mean, the defense is going to give up points and yards this year. You got to be able to win games 31-27, not 17-10.
Yeah. Certainly a factor that, again, yes, Purdue had won the statistical battle, but Notre Dame was in control of this football game, really for the most part, certainly after the first quarter. And Purdue only 11-yard gain, or the biggest play on offense the first half, I think, was 11 yards, and that's a problem.
This also, I mean, something that I think is a really important point to underscore here is Notre Dame gave Purdue every opportunity. They dropped at least 2 touchdowns. It was very similar to Purdue against Oregon State, where Purdue had all those opportunities to get in the end zone, and they weren't able to do it, and they let Oregon State kind of hang around a little bit. Purdue was gifted new life a couple of times, and they just couldn't get enough going offensively to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that margin for error, you can't drop balls. Purdue had dropped balls. Enter the equation today. We'll find out what the actual number was. Milton Wright had some struggles in that light, though he did have the 1 touchdown reception as well. Tom, did Coach Jeff Brom say anything about quarterbacking and the future of that? Did you view that as a necessary change? And certainly Aiden O'Connell came in and chucked it around pretty well, really, in all honesty. Both of his interceptions were off deflections. Anything from post game that caught your attention? And how do you? I'll ask both of you. I'll start with you, Tom. Do we have not a quarterback controversy, but there's a question: who starts next week against Illinois?
Well, first, real quick to Brian's point on third downs, guys. First quarter, Purdue was 3-6 on third downs. The rest of the game, they were 1 for 10.
Yeah.
So they really took a step back after that quick start. Just 2.3 yards per carry for Purdue running the football. And guys, big plays. I talked about it before this game. Purdue's not going to beat these guys running 8, 9, 10, 11 play drives. You got to get the chunk plays, and the explosive plays just weren't there today in the quantity that they needed to be, guys. Look at Notre Dame's touchdowns: a 39-yard pass, a 62-yard pass, a 51-yard run. And by and large, Purdue had the handful of big plays, the big catch by Bell to set up the touchdown, and King Drew had a 31-yard run. Alan, Jeff Brom was asked about the quarterbacks after the game, and really he just said he felt, he's got 2 guys who can play. Kind of the things we've heard in the past. At any point in time, he's always willing to play multiple quarterbacks. So this wasn't, at least according to his post-game comments, a change that was made out of performance sake. And again, I guess he just thought Aiden O'Connell was a guy who could spark the offense. He did say Jack had been hit a lot and had been under a lot of duress. So take that for what it's worth as well. He was asked, is Jack Plummer still the quarterback moving forward? Jeff Brom said, yes, he's still the number 1 quarterback. But he then again, guys, went on to say, as usual, he's always willing to play multiple quarterbacks. He thinks he's got quarterbacks on this team who can help it at any given time. So we've seen this from Jeff Brom before. We've heard it from him before. There's no quarterback controversy. It's just a case of, if he thinks somebody can spark the offense, he's certainly going to put him in, be it the left guard, the defensive end, or quarterback.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell did do that in my view for the most part, and definitely had some difficult throws that he threw well. And again, both of his interceptions on deflections, and that made a difference as well. Brian, you look at the defense and the defensive front. Boilermakers start the game with a sack early on. put some pressure on early. I thought the defensive line did some good things. I thought for the most part, I mean, I know Jack Cohn still threw for X number of yards, over 200. For the most part, though, they still made some plays. Jamari Brown made a couple plays into the secondary. How'd you grade out the defense, or as you looked at that on television today? What did you see from that standpoint?
I thought they were good. I thought everything, they were supposed to be coming into the season in terms of the mentality they're playing with, the pressure they want to apply. I thought that was perfectly executed in the first quarter, especially. I mean, they were bringing pressure from all over the place. It was getting there. It was making an impact on the game. I thought it affected Cohen. Obviously, as time went on, either Purdue, kind of normalized a little bit. Perhaps that start of game energy maybe subsided a little bit. Notre Dame adjusted to it, obviously. I don't think you were going to do that for 60 minutes. I don't think anybody thought that first quarter was going to be the whole game. But, it was just a matter of they got you that opportunity to put up a quick 14, 17 points, whatever it might have been in that first quarter. If, the offense is able to do that, Notre Dame's playing from behind, maybe they change a little bit. Maybe that gives you a little bit more latitude to take a few more chances on defense, or, throw some different looks out there, whatever it might have been. And it was just a matter of time, I thought, before Notre Dame, hit Purdue where it hurt, with all the pressure they were applying, as aggressive as they were being. And sure enough, it came on that fourth down where they hit the touchdown between OC brothers, and I don't know who the other guy was.
Lawrence Johnson.
Okay. And that was kind of the play that, sort of started things in Notre Dame's direction. But also it just came down to the offense, that fourth down and that third down where you're 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1, and you can't get a yard on either of those plays. That was just a killer. That swing of the 2 fourth downs for Purdue, the 1 4th down, the 4th down and the 3rd down for Purdue, and the 2 4th downs for Notre Dame. That's where this game swung in Notre Dame's direction. But I think the defense did pretty much everything, you could have asked of them. Now, had Notre Dame caught 2 of those touchdowns they dropped, we might be singing an entirely different story here. And that's just what I alluded to before, that you were given some opportunities here that you just did not take advantage of.
Guys, that Milton Wright jet sweep on 4th and 1 where he got tackled for no gain. That was, to me, just here we go again. They try to get fancy instead of being physical, and they still don't get it. And they were up 3-0 at that point, knocking on the doorstep to maybe scoring again, and then they have to turn the ball over on down. So, still, guys, even into the fourth quarter, there was a point where it was a 20-13 ball game, and Purdue had the ball.
Right.
Still could have gone there and down there and tied the game in the fourth quarter. It didn't happen. So, Brian's talked about this already. Notre Dame was begging to get beat, and Purdue just could not make the plays offensively. I feel strong and confident saying the defense played more than well enough to win this game. It was just, again, a lot of the same things we've seen from this offense in recent years up front, not being able to measure up against physical teams, guys. And, they talked about in the post game, this is what it's going to be the rest of the year. There's no more UConns on the schedule. There's no more Oregon States on the schedule. These are all Big Ten teams moving forward. They're going to see more defenses and offenses like this. And this is the measuring stick we thought it was going to be. And they've got plenty of film to look at and still plenty of things to obviously work on.
Yeah. Brian, I want to ask you, because you and I both watched the game on television. Drew Brees made not his debut, it was his second game, but his first one on full broadcast national, I guess, not being on the Peacock. But your thoughts of what you just listening to him and his analysis. I'll let you make your opinion and I'll make mine.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, for as much as everybody talks about Tony Romo being, the next big thing in, color analysis, I thought Brees was kind of right up there, in terms of diagnosing everything that was happening and what might then happen, in terms of explaining things in a way that didn't come off too academic, for lack of a better term. I thought he was great. He seemed very comfortable. He's obviously knowledgeable. I've always thought he would be great at television, just because he's got the personality. He's got the ability to communicate. He's got, he's got the knowledge, obviously. I mean, he thinks football as well as, perhaps anybody in the history of the game, maybe not named Peyton Manning or somebody like that, but he's probably right up there with him. I don't know why I use that as an example, but he's perfect for this. And I've always wondered what he'd do after playing, and he could do anything he wants. I mean, he could do anything he wants: business, politics, TV, whatever. I mean, he had every option under the sun as soon as he retired from playing, and he had no bad options. But obviously, this was a fantastic one. He's going to be really good at it. He's going to be one of the he might be one of the all-time greats at this too.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Tom, you'll have upon further review a chance to watch a little bit that tributes by Bob Greasy and Gary Danielson also. Tom, I know they're telling you to move out, so we're gonna
go home.
We're gonna move out as well and put a wrap on this Saturday conversation. Saturday Simulcast, I should say, and we want to thank our sponsors, the Union Club Hotel, and also remind folks that you can become a member. Join us at GoldandBlack.com. We'll be back next week, probably about the same time, because it's a 3:30 start at Purdue, Illinois. For Brian Neubert and Tom Dienhart, we'll bid you good evening and have a great Sunday and rest of the week, and we'll look forward to talking next week after that first Big Ten game in Ross-Ade Stadium. Have a good week.
Cannon.
What's that?
Now for the cannon.
Yep, that's right. Doesn't get any bigger than that. All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you.
Yep.
All righty, bye-bye.